Hey guys, just wanted to go over a quick end of the day recap. Just touch on some of the positions. A few moves we made today. I already touched on currencies this morning and then at noon for anybody that was on the webinar. But there's some longer term positions here that are worth mentioning. So Google, if we do a top down on Google, obviously this trend is extremely bullish. So the cycle is still positive. There's a little bit more room for it to run here long term, which I like. So nothing's wrong with the monthly. If you go to the weekly's rolling over. So you need to be aware of that, right? But this 8 is ascending and rising. So that still shows you, when we extended away from the 8, you wanted to be a seller. Now when it comes back to the 8, that's an okay place to put some back on. So that's what I did today, and this is a longer term position, right? So you go back to the daily. This was a perfect hold down here at pi. This was a great buy that we had, and then we came out of all this here. So I'm putting this first piece back on of the last 3 sales that we made. All right, so the market's resisting up here. The daily, this cycle is kind of mid to low within the range, and it is crossed over. But I'm looking for a higher low on the daily here, so it's an okay place to add back. The trend's still bullish, all right? So that's a move we made today. We added some calls through a call ratio back spread. S&Ps, I don't know. S&Ps is just kind of a hedge. We bought well today off the lows, just covered some puts, or we sold some puts out, right? And then I bought a little bit intraday, and we got a bounce here off the lower regression channel. So this is why I use them. It works pretty well. Okay, you don't want to trade it like, oh, I'm bidding right at the line, and then I got filled, and it goes through, and you panic and you stop. That's not the idea. These are zones. Okay, so when it gets close, these are zones. Trading is about relativity. It's not about absolute precise points. It's not about linear thinking. It's not about one cause and effect. These are zones. It's relative. Okay, so you get down there, you buy some. I think now we're making lower highs, so I'm a little bit more comfortable from a bearish standpoint on the intermediate term. Daily is still very bullish, right? We were in bear mode here till these higher bands broke, and now we've been kind of bullish. This was a nasty move. I've already talked about that. So I'm not going to get long-term short S&Ps. It just hasn't paid. I'm still playing kind of a hedge. So when we get really knocked down, like today, I bought some Dow futures. If we rally back up towards the top end of the range, you can be a seller here, guys. 2175 and higher in this zone. That's where you want to be a seller. All right. Long bonds, I didn't do much today. I'm just going through some of my fills. XLU, I just put on some of the socials that the spread between utilities and financials is really, really wide. It's ridiculously wide. So we bought some utilities today. It's low within the weekly cycle. I like that a lot. We're back here near the 30, which is rising. Probably make a higher low in this location. Okay, that's a high probability. The daily chart's a little bit in this area I call the no man's land. It's between the bands and the 200. So this is always cause for patient trading. All right. These holds here were much stronger. Now that we've broken this, it's kind of like we may just kind of dribble down here to the 200 or back towards pi. So you got to trade it around on the hourly. So if you buy here like I did today, if we pop, I'm going to be selling out a good portion of those and just keep working the trend until we get this thing to turn back up again, if it does. All right, and then financials, it's the opposite. Financials is really high within the range. You're talking about percent D in the 90s almost. So if you're long, you need to be taking profits. You can be leaning short too a little. Um, the weekly's rolled over. It may bounce again before it makes another move down. You got all these highs from the last 2 years, so you do not want to be a buyer of financials up here. If anything, you want to be a seller. And this was a pretty bad day today. I mean, it was an outside reversal, and then the daily's still bullish. But I'm playing a course short. I'm going to just try to work it to see if we roll over. Pretty high within the daily range, too. But the 8 we need this to roll back over. All right. A couple more real quick. Cat, this is a long-term position. In my preferred portfolio, everyone that's a member there, we started shorting this as a course short. We did it at the beginning of the year and last year, and now we're reselling again. All right. It's pretty low within the range, so I covered some today. The cycle, I mean. The weekly looks great, though. That's rolling over. That's what I want to see. We're high. We're back to close to pi in the 200. All right. Global growth is slowing, if not non-existent. So Caterpillar does not have a bullish tailwind from a fundamental perspective at all. All right. Especially the dollar is strong as is. That's more deflation. Puts pressure on commodity prices. It's not good for the companies at Caterpillar Services. All right, so we're pretty low. We're back at the bands here. This is the right spot to cover. If you get a bounce now back towards like 83, 84, you want to be a seller of CAT. All right. Oil, man, this was a nice trade for us. A couple of weeks ago, I talked about this was a tough trade because we were pretty early selling. And so I know it was hard for a lot of people to stay with it because this was a tough move because we were in a downtrend, right? And you get really oversold back here, lower than the cycle. You bottomed at the bottom of the regression channel, and then you bounce back all the way to the 30, and you expect to get a lower high here. So I was selling all in here. All right, but I was patient enough because I knew that in the model, and part of my trading plan is I need this 8 to roll back over before I get more aggressively short. Okay, so it rallied up here. I actually took some futures off, and then I had to buy some puts. When we came back, I covered some futures, and when it went back, and then when we got the bounce back is when I got a little bit more aggressive, and that allowed us to kind of capitalize on this most recent move. Okay, but the thing I was highlighting a couple weeks ago is that I didn't want to, if we sold pretty much the highs here earlier in the year and then covered really well, okay? I sold really well here and then covered, but we kept the piece all the way for this move. So when you rally back and you retrace a decent amount of this move, why would you stop out here when you were a seller here earlier in the year? I mean, if you're playing a longer term core position, that just doesn't make any sense. All right? So this is why I talked about today in my webinar that if you're too heavy too early, you can't sit through some of these extended moves when the market stretches you. Okay? I talked about where you need to have the majority of your size is on the right side of the chart. Here's the hourly. Okay, nice covers today. All right, I got rid of some of my put ratio spreads, 47-49 spread. And this is really oversold, so we can bounce from here. All right, the monthly is still bearish though. Look at this cycle. Still a lot more room to the downside, which is long-term bearish for oil. Weekly chart, almost rolling over and crossing. Not good for oil. Daily chart, oversold and lower than the cycle, so you need to cover, and then we're going to sell the next bounce. Okay, any rally in here, back towards the 30 or even towards these upper bands, you get this is going to be a nice selling opportunity again. All right, but we made long-term lower highs again. So this is classic bear market type of action. I went over the dollar. Bonds didn't do much. I touched on the euro already. I think that probably does it today, guys. Again, I just want to highlight for anyone that's new, I have had a lot of questions about coaching. So the way I do the coaching is in group sessions, and I only have time for so many people, but I would encourage you that if you want, that's the best way to grow. All right. I mean, you could sign up for the Active Trader membership, which is only 150 bucks a month. You get all my trade alerts, everything I'm doing, all the analysis daily and weekly, which is great, but that's not really how you're going to learn what it is you need to learn and grow as a trader. So part of the coaching process is, I can't tell you what to do if you want to become the best trader that you can be. You got to kind of grow through a process of failing forward, making mistakes. Um, you got to get through your bad habits. You got to. It's all a process where you have to really work on yourself. So that's a coaching process, and you can't do it on your own because if you had all the answers, you wouldn't need a coach. But the way you figure out what you're doing wrong and what you need to work on is you need someone from the outside, an outside perspective, to ask you the right questions, to go within yourself to figure out what it is that you're doing right and what it is that you're doing wrong. So you need a coach to ask you the right questions and to guide you. If you could do it by yourself, you would already know what questions to ask. You already would know the answers, but that's not how the process works. So part of coaching is me working with you doing that. All right. And so in the coaching process, I teach my model and process. We teach a trading plan that's three-part: analysis, execution, setups, and risk. Um, it's kind of four. It's actually really five parts, but it's really risk, execution, and analysis. All right. But we also do drills. We work on the psychology of trading. I mean, some traders don't even have a trading plan. Some of them are never journaling. They don't know how to journal. This is all stuff you need to do to be a real pro. Anyway, so I'd encourage you, if that sounds like that interests you, anyone can join a coaching group that I do, but I encourage you to do it at the start of the month because if you wait till the middle of September or the end of September, you're going to be coming into the group towards the middle or the end of, you're going to be missing all the stuff I'm going to teach the new guys at the beginning of September, if that makes sense. So visit the site, jenkinsrm.com, and under services, you can find the coaching aspect if you just scroll down. All right, or you can join the trading team if you're not in there already. I'm building a team of professional and independent traders all across the globe. If you visit the site, you can sign up there. It's for free, and then just pop in the room, and I'm happy to chat with you about what it is we do, and if you want to know more about the specifics of the coaching program, you can do it that way too. All right, guys, enjoy your evening, and I'll talk to you in the morning, and we'll see what the payrolls number looks like.